good numbers, but the job numbers just came out and they were fantastic, far better than even anticipated. They anticipated pretty good, but they had no idea it was going to be that. And unfortunately, we're in a world where for the last 15 years or so, when you have good numbers, the market goes down. When you have bad numbers, the market goes up because too much emphasis is placed on inflation. And you don't have to have inflation by having growth. But we have great growth, and that doesn't mean inflation. In fact, it can be anti-inflation growth. So I hope the market starts to learn that when you have good numbers, the market should go up, not down. Question? Well, I'm going to let Kevin make that decision. I'd like to see lower interest rates because each point, think of this, is $600 billion. So,
You said yesterday, you're some candidates for permanent director of national intelligence. Who's under consideration?
I have 5 interviews, and we'll have a very good person watching things, Bill Bolt, when I have 5 interviews. So cutting rates out, just getting back to you. You save hundreds of millions of dollars when you take 1 point off. Hundreds of millions of dollars. 2 points, you save double hundreds of millions of dollars. And so I therefore, from that standpoint. But someday we're going to have to go back to the old theory. When we're doing so good, we have more auto plants being built than we've ever had. We have more plants being built than we've ever. All these numbers are good. But when the numbers are good, we should be allowed to grow, not to stymie the growth. And we had a Fed chair that didn't understand.
But here's one that's not pricing in a cut actually in the October meeting.
Well, I would like to see that, but I leave that up. Look, I have a very talented guy. I leave it up to Kevin. But I've always said, and I've said it for years, when you have a country that's doing well, the market should go up. The market should, and the reason they go down is if it's doing well, people say, "Oh, we have to stop inflation," and it doesn't mean inflation. In fact, it could be just the opposite.
So there are hikes before the midterm election.
Most welcome to this talk. Now I want to carry on thinking about this recent Senate hearing here. Plausible mechanisms of COVID-19 injections causing cancer and attacks on scientific publications and research. So this has not really been covered by the mainstream media, which is unfortunate. Now the whole thing is available here. You can check it out for yourself. You can watch the whole hearing there. It lasts over 3 hours. And there you can have the depositions from the individual speakers. And I just want to highlight some of these because a lot of what they're saying is just not being reported and people simply don't know about it. And it's unfortunately left to alternative media outlets like this or other social media to publicise what's actually going on. So let's think about Dr. Malhotra's statement first of all. He says he was indoctrinated, pretty strong word, but I agree with him, with the idea of no possible harm from the COVID-19 vaccines, as indeed initially was I. We assumed this was a vaccine. And he said it turned out to be a gene therapy. So the term vaccine really is really quite misleading. And he was vaccinated himself to protect his patients, and we now know that this is essentially fallacious. There's very, very little benefit in someone being vaccinated to protect those around them. So vaccinated basically, like me, I would say on lack of information. Informed consent was not given. And rather than safe and effective, he actually says the vaccines are unsafe and defective. And remember, this is a leading physician that we're talking about here, Dr. Malhotra, who's been on the channel several times as a cardiologist. Done a lot of pioneering work in metabolic health. His dad tragically had a sudden cardiac arrest after 2 vaccines, and he had advanced coronary arterial disease. Now, in a 72-year-old man, that's not surprising, but Dr. Malhotra's father had been previously scanned and his arteries were in good condition, so it was surprising. So Dr. Malhotra concluded, and this is Dr. Malhotra who first taught me about this, first taught me about this, that he believes the vaccines can cause accelerated atherosclerosis, the furring up of the arteries. so the blood can't get through and the blood becomes turbulent as it goes through the arteries in the heart, the coronary arteries, and when the blood can't get through, you get ischemia. When the blood becomes turbulent, you can get clotting, and that's thrombosis, that's coronary arterial thrombosis, which seems to have caused his father's cardiac arrest, tragically. And as early as 2022, Asim called for a moratorium, and I did a bit after that as well, on the mRNA vaccines. He says the risk of harm is 2 to 4 times more likely than being hospitalised with severe COVID, and now, of course, that's way less because COVID is massively less significant, has been since the time of Omicron, really. So policy just hasn't kept pace with expanding knowledge in science and epidemiology. And this is the key thing about Asim's statement, really. Transparency would have helped people, would have prevented people being injected. We haven't got transparency of data as regards medical interventions, and we really need that. In fact, it's not just medical interventions, we just lack transparency in our current modern world, don't we? In the United Kingdom, we're not allowed transparency, we're not really allowed that much freedom of speech. In the United States, freedom of speech is much better, but the transparency is improving now. I think it's improving under Robert Kennedy Jr., but it's not anywhere near where we'd like it to be. Research does not get into mainstream media. So lots of new research has been done. If it doesn't fit the mainstream narrative, it's just not getting there. Asim describes this as the downstream effect of narrative control, and I agree with him. He talked about experiences with cancer causation and the way he was attacked for that, and we have a problem with our Prime Minister at the moment who also attacked Asim, we believe. People should be allowed to express scientific opinions without being sanctioned by governing bodies, and certainly without the intervention of politicians, which is disappointing. So what is the risk now of coronary vascular disease and cancer in people like me who were misled into taking these vaccines? We need research to find out. We urgently need to find this out. Many people around the world, we believe, are now still at increased risk. What is the risk now, even years after? What is the increased risk? We simply don't know because the research is not being done. There again, the research wouldn't make any money, so it's hard to see how it could be done. A few people might die, lots and lots of people might die, but that's okay. That doesn't really affect the profits too much. So it's just not being done. Profitability is being prioritised over well-being. We are actually living in a form of international, national and corporate tyranny at the moment. And we need to expose this, resist it, and dismantle this, as Asim said. Anyway, enough from me. Over to Asim now.
Our next witness is Dr. Asim Malhotra. Dr. Malhotra is a multi-award-winning, internationally renowned British cardiologist. He served in an advisory role for health policy across governments, including as an ambassador to the Academy of Medical Royal Colleges and trustee of the King's Fund, a health policy think tank. He was ranked the #1 doctor in the world influencing obesity thinking. He was named one of the UK's most influential scientists. Dr. Malhotra.
Thank you, Senator Johnson. In January 2021, indoctrinated with the unlikelihood of any major harm, I took 2 doses of Pfizer's mRNA vaccine, unaware at the time that it was, in fact, a prophylactic gene therapy product and unlike any traditional vaccine. Although I was at very low risk of serious illness from COVID-19 due to my age and perfect metabolic health, I was inoculated to protect my patients. As one of the UK's most trusted doctors, I was requested to appear on Good Morning Britain to help tackle vaccine hesitancy amongst high-risk ethnic minority groups. 5 months later, a personal tragedy triggered a complete U-turn in my perception of the vaccine. We were dealing with a medical product that was actually unsafe and defective. My fit and healthy 73-year-old father, honorary vice president of the British Medical Association, who also happened to be my best friend and last surviving member of my immediate family, died after suffering an unexpected cardiac arrest. Post-mortem findings revealed severe coronary artery disease, and subsequent published mechanistic evidence suggested that 2 doses of the mRNA COVID vaccine likely caused a massive acceleration in atherosclerosis, leading to his sudden death. In 2022, I published a 2-part peer-reviewed paper in the Journal of Insulin Resistance, calling for a moratorium on these unsafe and defective products. The most damning evidence was a reanalysis of Pfizer and Moderna's original trials, It determined a frequency of serious harm from the product that was 2 to 4 times more likely than being hospitalized with severe COVID. In my view, if the system had been more transparent, this prophylactic gene therapy would likely not have been injected into a single human being in the first place. Although there is now a multitude of high-quality research supporting those analyses, there's been predictable little to any mainstream media coverage, a symptom of the downstream effects of how big corporations exert their power by controlling the dominant narrative. I have personal experience with these downstream effects. Towards the end of last year, at the Reform Party political conference, I quoted Britain's most eminent oncologist, Professor Angus Dalgleish. He believes that the COVID mRNA vaccine likely played a significant role in cancers of members of the royal family. Predictably, I was smeared and misrepresented in the media. Even the British Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, misled Parliament, suggesting that I claimed that all vaccines cause cancer. In quotes, "These dangerous conspiracies cost lives," he said. I also experienced public smears and attacks from influential sections of the medical profession. I'm a grieving vaccine-injured doctor. I've been diagnosed with a persistent autoimmune condition related to loss of bifidobacteria in my guts, and advanced blood tests suggested I'm at slightly increased risk of cancer in the short term. Looking at the totality of up-to-date evidence and what you've heard from eminent witnesses today, in my view, millions of Americans and millions more across the world may be in clear and present danger of suffering premature cardiovascular disease and cancer. Without allowing all scientists to debate this openly, without fear of censure, we will not be able to identify who is most at risk and how these risks can be mitigated. When it comes to making money, multinational corporations have been diagnosed by preeminent forensic psychologist Dr. Robert Hare and law professor Joel Bakan as legal entities that fulfill the criteria for psychopathy. Characteristics include callous unconcern for the safety of others, incapacity to experience guilt, repeated lying and conning others for profit. The evidence presented here today exposes the corporate tyranny underlying public health practice. This profitability over people rooted in the neoliberal economic model has led to trust being an all-time low in the medical profession. A full public apology from government bodies and medical leadership to the vaccine injured and bereaved is an essential first step in restoring that trust. Tyranny emerges when people are afraid to say what they think. When you have something to say, silence is a lie. When everyone lies all the time, the tyranny is complete. To save the health of the American people and to save democracy, it is our responsibility to expose, resist, and dismantle the era of corporate tyranny we currently find ourselves in. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Malhotra.
Get a whiff of scented angel saw juice. The freshness is just woo!
So the market has a clock? So the Realtor.com market clock tracks data like inventory, time on market, buyer demand, so you know what to expect when you buy or sell. Well, I'm on the clock, so I gotta go.
He wanted to go to war with anybody that opened their mouth, anybody that talked. And I used him for a purpose. You know, he was involved with Bush and he...
Well, a warm welcome to today's talk, Monday the 15th of May. Now, I've just been reading a really quite interesting study indicating that the doses of vitamin D that people have been taking are probably way too small. Now, this is based on the idea that these authors are giving us that in a normal sunny day outside will produce 25...
You know, he wrote a book, you look at all the information he took. I mean, if you look at that case, it's a great honor to have helped from the standpoint of encouragement. I looked at John Bolton as somebody that was a very dishonest guy and not a smart guy. And I guess he's paying the price for certainly being dishonest. But the same way it is, I'm the chairman. So we'll just keep it going. Somebody has to do it. It loses a lot of money. It has for years. It's lost hundreds of billions of dollars for years. And yet it's something you have to keep going. You know, it's the arts. They all lose money. Carnegie Hall. You take a look at all of that kind of thing loses. So they really, everybody, they want me to say very badly. So we're going to We're going to take a look at it. The judge really hurt the Kennedy Center because he found out we were going to, we're going to spend a lot of money on fixing it and making it, bringing it back to health. And the judge really made it very hard to do that. But I'm going to look at his ruling on that. But we have to bring it back physically. We have to bring it back, and we have to bring it back in other ways. So we'll take a good look at it. Yeah. No, it's not. We're thinking about an IPO for that. But it's not a rush. But we've created a tremendous. I could have sold that for literally less than 10% in my first term. I was offered. A lot of people were offering me money, me meaning the country, to buy Fannie Mae Freddie Mac, as you know. And it suffered tremendous hardship. And then we built it back. And I could have sold it in my first term for 1/10 of what it's worth now, and I didn't want to do it. Now I think we would consider an IPO. Yeah. No, he'd be there. No, he's staying there. I'm looking at 5 different people, all very good, all people that you know very well, all people that do that kind of thing, and they're very respected people.
Mr. President, what do you think about Major League Baseball owners pushing for a salary cap? Do you think it's time for baseball to have a salary cap?
Don't they sort of have one? Don't they?
It's a luxury cap, it's a threshold, but the teams that have the money are willing to sign it.
Well, if you don't have a salary cap, you don't have a sport, because they can't help themselves. In sports, they can't help themselves. Football has a salary cap.
Every major professional league except Major League Baseball in America.
They should have done it a long time ago. I know so much about sports. They should have done it a long time ago. We're trying to help save college sports because they got some rulings that really essentially destroyed college sports. And we're working with Randy Levine and Nick Saban and some great people on trying to save it because it's so horrible.
What do you think could happen if this NIL just gets completely out of control and nobody checks it?
Well, I think what's going to happen if you don't have what they're trying to do now, that's sort of a cap in a certain way. If you don't have that, you really have a problem. And not only college sports, colleges, where you see where Penn State lost $500 million, where a certain school that I like very much in Florida, they lose $400 or $500. You can't have that. Nobody can afford that because they go crazy. That's why when you say Major League Baseball, it's shocking, frankly, that they didn't put a cap on many years ago. They had a chance to do a cap and they blew it. Well, I don't mind. I mean, let them deal. I'm the one that got them in this position. And I think that's going to get worked out. I think we're getting close to where Russia and Ukraine should have. It's a war that should have never happened. Would have never happened if I was president. But I think that's going to get worked out. Yeah. You'll be involved. I'll be involved. JD, everybody. We'll all be involved. We want to see it done. We're not spending money. They're buying things from us, actually, at full price. With Biden, he gave them everything. Just gave them hundreds of millions of dollars of weapons and everything else. But it's a war that should have never happened, and it's a war that has to be. Last week, 25,000 people over the course of the month, 25,000 people were killed. Russia, Ukraine, 25,000. It's not acceptable. Not acceptable. Thank you very much. Have a good time. It's a little bit more comfortable. It's a little.
Motherhood is hard, and feeling blue is one thing.
Hey Kevin, come on over here and tell him what time it is.
Okay.
Oh, that's nice, Kevin. Alright, now get out of here. I got this feeling inside, can't find no balance in my mind. I must be missing the point. I need a coffee and a joint. I got this feeling inside, can't find no balance in my mind. I must be missing the point. I need a coffee and a joint. Coffee and a joint, coffee and a joint, yeah. Coffee in the joint, coffee in the joint. Coffee in the joint, coffee in the joint. Coffee in the joint, come on, man. Yo, higher than an F-16 in Walgreens. Trying to find some eye drops at the bottom of the Listerine. Well, I'm Mr. Clean when I step on the scene. But yo, how did I get here? And what does this all mean? The last thing I remember was way back in September. Johnny had a doobie, it was movie full of pleasure. But I probably didn't measure the amount I should have taken. Now I'm standing on the feeling, and this feeling got me shaking. Yo, I get the bacon with my better crocker baby. We dishing out delectables, yeah. They tasty, so yeah, it's amazing. Now come and get this slice. And if they try to take my herb, I'll say, take my wife. But Kevin, you're not married. Oh shit, it's getting scary. I'm mixing up my history, my memories are buried. And I don't have a clue what's real or imaginary. So take heed, my children, cause this story's cautionary. Yo, I got this feeling inside, can't find no balance in my mind. I must be missing the point. I need a coffee and a joint. I got this feeling inside, can't find no balance in my mind. I must be missing a point. I need a coffee and a coffee in the joint, coffee in the joint. What? Coffee in the joint, coffee in the joint. Come on now. Coffee in the joint, coffee in the joint. Woo. Coffee in the joint. So I was standing in the corner of the kitchen by myself, eyeing up the pot brownies on the top shelf. I'm thinking maybe just a nibble to do, but I didn't eat dinner, so I gobbled down too. Oh shit, I fucking blew it. Yo, I got to keep this conversation fluid. Yo, too high to function. I'm feeling like a clown at a funeral luncheon. I'm a goner, man, I've reached my marijuana maximum consumption. Yeah, goddamn hors d'oeuvre, threw my knife for a curve. But I could be the hero that this party deserves. So I boot and rally, sink the last cup. Turns out it was my team's cup. Fuck. I got this feeling inside, can't find no balance in my mind. I must be missing the point. I need a coffee and a joint. I got this feeling inside, can't find no balance in my mind. I must be missing the point. I need a coffee and a joint. Coffee in the joint, coffee in the joint. What? Coffee in the joint, coffee in the joint. Alright. Coffee in the joint, coffee in the joint. Yeah, what? Coffee in the joint, coffee in the joint. Yeah. Coffee in the joint, coffee in the joint. Alright. Coffee in the joint, coffee in the joint. Yeah. Coffee in the joint, coffee in the joint. Coffee in the joint. Yo, that's right.
terrible at smoking weed.
That's okay. I'll handle it. Thanks, Yola.
Sugar Shack, gonna take this like way far. It's like S to the UGAR. Sugar Shack, gonna take this like way far.
Being obsessed with taste means every ingredient has a purpose. Agave, water, yeast, nothing more. The world's most awarded tequila, proudly poured at the world's best bar.
They say this movie.
Mr. Lover Lover, Mr. Lover Lover, Mr. Lover Lover. She call me Mr. Bombastic, tell me fantastic, but me not me back, she says I'm Mr. Rowe. Call me fantastic, she tickle up me back, she says I'm Mr. Rowe. She call me Mr. Bombastic, tell me fantastic, but me not me back, she says I'm Mr. Rowe. Call me fantastic, she tickle up me back, she says I'm Mr. Rowe. She call me Mr. Bombastic. She call me Mr. Bombastic, tell me fantastic, but me not me back, she says I'm Mr. Rowe. Romantic, call me fantastic, she tickle up me back, she says I'm Mr. Rowe. She call me Mr. Bombastic, tell me fantastic, but me not me back, she says I'm Mr. Rowe. Romantic, call me fantastic, she tickle up me back, she says I'm Mr. Rowe. She call me Mr. Bombastic, tell me fantastic, but me not me back, she says I'm Mr. Rowe. Romantic, call me fantastic, she tickle up me back, she says I'm Mr. Rowe. She call me Mr.
Maine Housing hopes eligible Mainers buy, rent.
Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? When you were 8 and you had bad traits, you go to school and learn the golden rule. So why are you acting like a bloody fool? If you get hot, then you must get cool. Bad boys, what you gonna do? Or what you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? You chuck it on that one, you chuck it on this one, you chuck it on your mother and you chuck it on your father, you chuck it on your brother and you chuck it on your sister, you chuck it on that one and you chuck it on me. Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you?
It's a great time.
What you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boys, what you gonna do?
That's really cool.
When they come for you, nobody now give you no break. Police now give you no break. That phone soldier man now give you no break. Not even your agent now give you no break.
Hey.
Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you?
Doing some morning stretches.
What you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you?
Sort of. I'm trying to do a little bit more like muscle. I know, I have a hard time with cardio.
you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? You're too bad. You're too rude. You're too bad. You're too rude. Yeah. Bad boys.
Okay, and again, over here, please. 1, 2, 3.
Here comes the unstable murderer. I'm the lyrical cancer murderer. Big up the crew in the area murderer. Still living like that murderer. No, we don't die. Yes, we multiply. Anyone press will hear the fat lady sing. Act like you know Rico. I know what won't don't know. Touch them up and go.
Oh!
Ching-ching-ching. Here comes the
Mr. Officer, still love you like that. Juice like a strawberry, all of the time. You get copyrighted for that one. Don't finish that one.
They try to keep me on the AM charts, but fuck prison. Only bars I'm standing behind are the ones I'm spitting. The kid is in rap.
It's just clear as day. Look at Nancy Pelosi at her peak at plus 46%, and the S&P 500 is at plus 27%. So you have almost a 17% edge on the S&P 500. That is absolutely nuts. Just not okay. This is that website that these guys are just talking about right now, PelosiTracker.app. Someone literally just took all of the information that they have on Nancy Pelosi's stock portfolio and just started investing in what she invests as soon as they're able to. So just completely absurd that this is what that performance looks like. Crazy. Alright, also guys, a quick update on the California election. Steve Hillen still leads, but his advantage is getting shorter. Alright, as Becerra is gaining some of these, later reported votes. Just yesterday he had over 100,000 more votes than him, and if you look at it again, it's just not the case. He looks like his edge is at about, 60,000, 70,000 right now. So there's still about 40% of the vote is still to be accounted for, and the same is kind of true with Spencer Pratt. Right, he's also not out of the leads yet. He still has about a 6% advantage over Nathan Rahman. So you never know with these votes that are yet to be counted for, but it is a 65% completed so far. So yeah, it is a little confusing right now, and it does seem like CNN is trying to curb people's speculation on election fraud, because again, that's one of the largest narratives right now, especially coming from the right. And if anything, this video that CNN shared kind of just shows the cracks in the system. So it's almost doing the exact opposite of what CNN was attempting to do, because it's showing the process, and you know what? Instead of showing the process, I feel like they are showing the cracks. Go take a look here.
Why does it take so long to count ballots in California compared to other states?
Well, essentially, California leaders have made the decision that it's more important to give more people more time to make last-minute votes than it is to count quickly, where other states have said it's more important to count quickly and not necessarily give people as many options to vote at the last minute. So in California, you can turn your ballot in up until the very last day. As long as it is postmarked by Election Day, there's up to 7 days for that to come to a vote processing center like this one to be counted.
I was barricaded at the Capitol on January 6th. I saw it firsthand. I'm George Wood. We can't go.
Also, we mail ballots to every single registered voter in the state. Right now, about 80% of voters return their ballots by mail. Each one of them has to go through a signature verification process. If there's a problem in the signature verification process, then you're alerted and you have 10 days to fix that process to come what's called cure your ballot. All that takes time. Eventually, all those ballots come here where they are officially counted. But the whole process takes about 3 weeks, which is longer than most states who don't do most of that, and by the way, have a lot less people. LA County alone has 5.9 million registered voters, which is more voters than 41 other states. So there's a lot of vote by mail, there's a lot of steps to prevent fraud, and all that takes a lot of time, which is why California moves so slow. So that's the joke. Alright, I know California is a big state, but a grace period that lasts more than a week? Taking 3 weeks to count the votes? Like, are you kidding me? This is taking an absurd amount of time. Like, I keep watching this page, and the amount that I see it change is so tiny. And the fact that the narrative is that we won't know for an additional 2 weeks is completely absurd. Greg Price over here says the fact alone that California allows mail-in ballots to count if they arrive up to a full week after Election Day is totally insane. That's only something you do when you want to draw out the process as long as possible until a desirable outcome is achieved. And again, I'm not saying that that's true, but the fact that this continues to pop up does not give people confidence in the election process. That's just not good. Even Nick Silver, who's forever criticizing the right, forever criticizing President Trump, is roasting California dry for this. He says the fact that California elections often can't be resolved for weeks is kind of insane and not common in other electoral systems around the world. Like, honestly, if it's going to take us several weeks to tell you who won the election, is failed state crap and should be much more stigmatized. The fact that it's tolerated is bad to a textbook example of learned helplessness. I just completely agree. We have to be better for this. It is just insane. Like, it's bad when Democrats are even saying, what's going on here? We could do way better than this. Also, guys, I don't know if you noticed, but I am betting everything on this channel where we talk about the news, the ideas, that truly shape the future from apologetics to these cultural, societal moments. So I'd love to invite you to join our free newsletter. It's entirely free, but most importantly, it's entirely ours. So you can subscribe right down below. The link is just going to be right there. I'll go ahead and have it pinned. But you can go and read some of my latest articles, and I think it's great. I also have one coming out this week. That's going to be very, very exciting. So while California isn't giving us a whole lot of confidence, this election has shown every single person that California is ready for the new, and that people are mad as hell. Alright, and Spencer Pratt and Steve Hilton are ready to step into the driver's seats. Another thing that's making people mad as hell, did you hear that the feds charged, new fraudsters for stealing like $30 million meant for behavioral health programs?
Seems like it.
Isn't that absolutely nuts? Also, Dr. Oz of CMS, he says, no more champagne on private jets for these people, no more new cars, no more luxury endeavors and vacations. It's over for these healthcare fraudsters. Just holy smokes. I wanted to go ahead and talk about this for this next segment. I wanted to read this from the New York Post saying at least 4 suspects, including 2 state employees, have been hit with 32 counts of Medicaid fraud, while nearly $470,000 was seized from bank accounts linked to the defendants, in addition to the 14 vehicles bought with their allegedly ill-gotten gains. The tally included 6 Mercedes-Benz sedans, a Bentley, a Jaguar, a Maserati, a McLaren, a BMW GMC, and 2 Land Rovers, all worth in excess of $800,000. Look at that, millions of dollars just straight up flushed down the drain in the form of supercars. I am just mad as heck just for reading that. And here is FBI Director Kash Patel on this insane crackdown of fraud that we are learning about. Go take a look.
Zyrtec presents Zyrtalk with scientist Andy. Did you know grass pollen is one of the most common allergens in the world? But you don't need to let it get in the way of your outdoor activities. To help relieve allergies to grass, you can wear a mask when mowing the lawn, wear hats, gloves, and glasses to prevent contact, avoid spending time outdoors if pollen count is high, so that 7 a.m. tea time is A-OK, and of course, take Zyrtec for your allergy symptoms.
Thanks, Andy. Find Zyrtec at your favorite retailer.
To just highlight some of the work that we are doing. Operation Playground Therapy is what the FBI is here to talk about today. As the Attorney General highlighted, literally tens of millions of dollars that was supposed to go to kids was stolen, allegedly, by individuals who worked in government and the private sector and thought they could fleece Americans and our treasure, our children, of the hard-earned dollars, taxpayer dollars that we provide to support them in their time of need. Well, they got caught. And not only did they get caught, so many others got caught. Just take a look at some of the vehicles that are here as part of their ill-gotten gains and proceeds. They didn't just take the money, they paraded it around the country. And thanks to this team here, you are seeing what hard work, dedication to the rule of law, and true unified effort across all fronts when no one wants the credit.
Just imagine people in your neighborhood could actually use the resources that have been stolen. Imagine those people in those neighborhood, and now imagine the other person driving around in that same neighborhood, in that Bentley, in that Jaguar, in that Mercedes-Benz, in that Range Rover. It's just so insulting. These people are evil human beings.
Everyone wants to just do the work. These are the results that we're here to talk about today. Importantly for the FBI, and thanks to Vice President J.D. Vance's vision, he had an idea. He said, hey, you guys have a top 10 most wanted list for all gangbangers, terrorists, narco-traffickers, murderers, and rapists around the world. How about we have a top 10 list for most wanted fraudsters? So, Mr. Vice President, thanks to your vision, we're here to deliver. You see it here today. It is live officially on the FBI website. I want all Americans to take a look at these most wanted individuals and look at the amounts, the tens of millions and billions of dollars in fraud that they have decimated our societies from.
Holy smokes, that is absolutely unbelievable. And here is the fraudsters list, as well as the cars that have been seized. Look at this, BMWs, McLarens, Range Rovers. It's just insane. Look at that Jaguar right there. And this is the most wanted fraudsters list. This is the coolest thing. Right, like, so J.D. Vance, good job for this, and Kash Patel, great job for actually utilizing that idea. Most wanted fraudsters, and this wire fraud, mail fraud, here, mortgage fraud, and just a look at this one, healthcare fraud, $1.2 billion. If anybody happens to know the whereabouts of Herbert Kimball, like, you got some questions for this dude. $1.2 billion healthcare fraud. With this wire fraud, again, $32 million wire fraud, money laundering, $4.2 million, and look at this conspiracy to operate illegal gambling business at $34 million. This is just completely absurd. Wow, over $1 billion in just one person here. That is the most shocking thing I could even imagine. And there's still people out there who believe that healthcare fraud doesn't exist, right? Yeah, just such a spit in the face to the American taxpayer. But guys, that is the video from Nancy Pelosi just acting kind of like a loon in front of someone who was simply looking for questions to now the fraudsters stealing from children while driving their McLarens through the neighborhood. It's insane. But I do believe things are changing, especially with these guys in charge, from Dr. Oz to Cash Patel. These just guys who are just going after it. Alright, look at this. They just posted this saying, POV, the last thing a Medicaid fraudster sees. I am telling you. Alright, as always, tell me what you think about all this in the comment section. Tell me what you thought about Nancy Pelosi, as well as what Joe Rogan and Caleb Hammer were just sharing. Alright, also, guys, pray for California. Seriously, because look at this. Just in this time that we've been making this video, you are seeing these numbers change. Right? Just not okay. Alright, pray for California. Alright, California is a miracle. Alright, let me know what you think about all this in the comment section, and if you made this far, please like, subscribe, join the free newsletter, and see you guys next time.
University of Arizona Global Campus. We are proud to offer over 50 career-focused online programs to a fierce community of Wildcats from around the globe. Proud to be UAGC. Learn more at uagc.edu.
This week almost ended with an Israeli strike in the heart of Beirut. The idea of
field, and they're having Pringles out there. If you know the Pringles, you have to get there quick. Neutrogena Ultra Sheer Sunscreen. There's no white cast, so you can't see it. tide pulling back before it comes in strong, to the quiet pride of people whose days are long.
I got pride, yo, I wanna be like the force. I got two coronas in my out the bar.
Taco Bell's $5, $7, and $9 lunch boxes at peak luxury. They may even go to your hat.
Excuse me, who makes this house red?
Hat? Try Taco Bell's $5, $7, and $9 lunch boxes.
Ain't that the one? You can't afford me, feel so bad. Oh, can you spare a nickel, brother? Can you spare a dime? Just to get me on down the line.
Hey there, how you doing after folks? I tell them all the same thing, old black and broken, they think that's a joke, but I ain't playing, it's a whole lot of truth to what I'm saying. See my bones cracked, I'm so pro-black, and I got so many bills and they ain't no stacks. Hey there, Joe Jack, something on your lollipop. Think I can get a ride over to the Charlie stop? I just left one job and trying to hit the next one. Doing what I can do so I can get the check, son. You can keep the weed and bank and back to try to get full of greed in my bank account, so I turn up the tempo, hit the studio before I tempo. Wasn't trying to stay out in the court, cut the ex-wife out before the child support. Well, went down to the bodega, just to get a little nothing new. Went on being on my wallet, there was nothing but I owe you. Well, I told my situation, I asked him, what do you got for me? He said, I got this knuckle sandwich, and I'll give it to you for free. Oh, can you spare a nickel, brother? Can you spare a dime? Couple more dollars now just to get me on down the line. From red dirt out to red hook, I've been rocking mics since before there was a fed hook. The left hook, the reason why your man got his head shook. From the PJs, Memphis, if you get your bread took. Concrete floors made it chilly with the sun down. Somehow we all made it out with the run down. Proper plan was getting played for a jump cloud. Took the less traveled road, standing out amongst crowds. Old heads with the fire in the pit. Old heads you can tell they a liar when they spit. All heads on one flex with the line in his pits. All said is really nothing if you climb with the fifth hook. I'm cooking cast iron in the pit. You're really thinking about you buying in the pit. I cut it up in sections and I crime to his Chris. It seems a little more than required for the fix. I could not pay my ticket and I could not pay my bail. Well, the judge couldn't pay me the time of day and he threw my ass in jail. Well, they gave me a nickel and a dime and they placed them upon my eyes. For it cost much more to keep me here than it did to let me die. Oh, can you spare a nickel, brother? Can you spare a dime?
Walmart's 500 million items pizza every day is a fake day, even if it's a snake day.
Wait, this is all in Walmart. Are those my sweater trucks?
Yes, Bob, they are.
Oh, okay. Oh, that wasn't even plugged in and charging. My charger was plugged into the laptop and not the wall.
Whoops.
Yeah, look at Thursday. Looks like a really good day. Partly cloudy, and then the
That's Tuesday.
Oh, Thursday.
Oh, Thursday. My fucking god. I get out early on Friday.
Let's see the time. It's not showing the...
Click on Thursday, and then I can see the time. So the temperature seems to rise a bit around 9 to 4
I don't
or
see
so.
any rain, though.
Precipitation is rain. Click on precipitation.
Oh.
So the rain starts around
Oh.
3 p.m.
So we could still do that.
Yeah, probably.
We could it'll be partly cloudy and in the 80s. And then...
So yeah, we could go like after I get back from school at like 9 and we'd have plenty of time. Well, they open at 11, right? When do they open? 11?
Yeah.
Okay,
They
so
do
yeah,
have-
we can go at 11
they
and
do.
we'd still have plenty of time.
Yeah, so would you rather play that? Because, yeah, look at today and tomorrow. 66 and 65.
Yeah.
It's like almost a 20-degree difference. It's going to be later on in the week. So would you rather go on one of the hotter days?
If you want to.
Alright, I'm going to go. This is about to power down.
Chicks and dudes, and you think it's really kicking tunes. Picture you getting down in a picture too, like you live the fuse. You think it's fictional, mystical, maybe spiritual. Hero who appears in you to clear your view. You're too crazy. Life is to know the definition for what life is. Priceless to you because I'm free to all the hype shit you like it. Guns smoke you righteous with one tough your psychic among no possess you with one yo. I got sunshine. sound. Everybody feel the pound. Let's go. From here today, they won't take my resume. So kiss my ass, motherfucker, you gon' pay. I'll get a big backyard, sipping on champagne, or a gravel yard with a number for my name. Hand me the cash, hand me the dough. Bring yourself right now, who act like you know. Make me the scratch, man, this thing ain't for show. It's a ticking time bomb and it's bound to blow. Hey, keep your hand in my line of sight. I don't think you really want to die with this thing tonight. You empty your pockets, you lose your shoes. You don't want to see this thing here do what it do, because if you do, you end up with more than a bruise. You end up on the list of the deceased of the news. You see, my man here just told y'all to give us the loot. So if I catch wind of any bits of the suit, then one of these hostages is gonna catch a bad one. I'm already desperate, you don't wanna see me mad, son. This ain't a movie, but it's time for some action. So put it in the bag and hit the deck and go black. From here today, they won't take my resume. So kiss my ass, motherfucker, you gon' pay. I'll get a big backyard, sipping on champagne, or a gravel yard with a number for my name. Or a gravel yard with a number for my name.
Delicious, fluffy waffles you can't wait to dig into.
For years, for decades, for centuries, we have struggled and fought and bled and died for this. What we ain't gonna do is wait.
Last night I saw a bright red comet in the sky. I asked for its purpose and it gave me a reply. It said, soon come the day master dies, but first you must prepare. Keep our eyes on the prize through the beat of the drum, the light of the fire. We decide to be as free as a bird will it fly. So we ready every axe, sharpen every knife. Get our people inside ready and willing to take a life. There'll be none worth saving, soon unslaving. But now we must prepare as usual while we maintain our plan towards the promised land of liberation. Breaking the chains before the beast of awaken. Watching the houses ablaze before they cave in. No more will I flee to the sky be forsaken. All praises due, there'll be much celebration. Plantation will be gone by the day's end. I ain't going no more in this freedom. I ain't going no more in this freedom. Wanna take this axe and hit it in your back. I ain't going no more in this freedom. Sitting at the counter to create some counterbalance. Broken windows, folks doing damage. Just to keep a black man from having a sandwich. Not even that damn famish. Promising Dr. King, hoping I can manage to keep it peaceful in the midst of this evil. It's too much to take. Damn it, I can't stand it. Might be time to go another route. Here come the bitch trying to drag her brother out. Coming with the counsel of man, I've had enough. So that fist in the air just punched him in the mouth. Running through the south, clear for my life. Against wrongs, cause we need in our rights. But every passing law ain't enough for y'all. Whose souls are too dark to even see the light. So I ain't going no more in this freedom. Come on. I ain't going no more in this freedom. We started on this march, now we gon' tear this mess apart. start. If we still have to fight, then we'll tear this apart. Peace will be found in the spirit through the heart. Another plan is a brother man in beyond positions, sitting in greater control of our conditions. When it happens, I doubt you're gonna listen. Consider yourself somehow a Christian. I'm on a mission to take these levels tilted, straighten it out for all the elders that built it. Don't care whether or not guilt you feel this, not gonna keep us from the freedom we will get. I ain't gonna wait no more to get this freedom. I ain't gonna wait no more to get this freedom. Break this system and we kill it, then we flip it and rebuild it. Cause I ain't gonna wait no more to get this freedom. I ain't gonna wait no more to get this freedom. I ain't gonna wait no more. I ain't gonna wait no more. I ain't gonna wait no more to get this freedom. soldiers, the chickadees, floating the king. I'm a beast like a chupacabra. Haters, looking left to do. When I spit, it's like pepper spray. We strong, big like Nescafe. So you want some mess with me? I'm the last of the great ones. Still on the place, son. Can't crystal lake, son. First name Jason. That's really my government. There's nothing fake about me. My little game is sick. Swing if you doubt me. Street the king, push up, show me the motion. You could get dope. Tell me these major labels are dope. I'm so on top of my game. I ain't fucking the rain. I'm just concerned with the zeros except for my name. My flow is tied up all the time. I got money torn clothes with red rags and red nails. I'll be right there. Show me love. Son, right there. Show me love. Why you not showing me love? Cause you hate it. I'll be right there. Show me love. Son, right there. Show me love. Why you not showing me love? Cause you hate it. Check this here. Now I pull up in the Testarossa. Not one of the clowns who just gon' eat the chocha. Don't be up in the club with the rest of these clowns. You can find me in my crib for the show getting down. No white feet, no sucker for love. You be looking for hugs. Hey girl, I'm jingling baby. You're hating on my song, but you're singing it, baby. It's a never ending cycle in this hip hop game. But don't we remember we spitting hot flames. You clowns are feeling no good with calorie. Torn around the track with no salary. And I'm too cocky to battle. Been there, done that, so above that. Flow adapts to digital and analog. Swear I was riding a bike the way I handled that. I was right there, show me love. Son, right there, show me love. Why you not showing me love? Cause you hate it. Be right there, show me love. Son, right there, show me love. Why you not showing me love? Cause you hate it. And I'm gonna be right there, show me love. Son, right there, show me love. Why you not showing me love? Cause you hate it. I'll be right there, show me love. Son, right there, show me love. Why you not showing me love? Cause you hate it. Yes, yes. Let's go. Man, was really cut the dust, not the Philly as I spit the dilly. This is love, I'm smoking the first love. Spread love to the soldiers, not the ones in Iraq, the ones separated by train tracks and black on black is that. The who's the foundation when Dom moves, I'm Mason. My ex-girl's on down, I got 2 replacements. I have no patience when it's beef, I choose to face it. And treat chicks like they keep the big city, I just brace it. When the flow is the coldest, you on my shoulder and blow it. Every stage I blow it, you gotta see it to believe it. It's phenomenal. Haters, I know I'm promise you. The way I spit, nothing goes the way God will do. No blasphemy. You need that New York heat, ask for me. It's T.O.and not easy. Pray this my brother is still alive, so we can see this world go spit James to survive.
If you live in Maine and you're replacing your electric water heater, consider a heat pump water heater. They're easy to install, and with available instant discounts, they can pay for themselves in less than a year.
In November 2024, Professor Todd Humphreys, a GPS expert at the University of Texas at Austin, got a mysterious tip-off. Look at 2 specific days, at exact times in a data set collected years earlier by a network of GPS monitoring stations. These stations continuously record signals from satellite navigation systems, measuring how strong they are relative to background noise. It didn't seem promising. The data was from 2021, and it was publicly available online. So surely, if something unusual was in there, someone would have already found it. But Professor Humphreys and his student Zach Clements looked into the data at the 2 specific times suggested, and they discovered something surprising. At one precise moment, receivers across the network all reported the same thing, a sudden drop in signal-to-noise ratio. In effect, the navigation signals had been overwhelmed. The measured signal-to-noise dropped by roughly a factor of 10. But when they started looking back through the data, they found 75 days since 2019 where these strong disruptions had taken place. And again, the pattern was the same. All these receivers reported the same drop at the same time.
This effect was being felt all the way across Europe, all the way to the north, to Svalbard, to the south, to Spain, all the way to Canada in the west, as far east as eastern Poland. And in fact, it had a distinct pattern across Europe to where it looked like the blast center was in Poland, or Kaliningrad, in that area.
So they wondered what could cause this. At first, they thought perhaps it's interference, something on the ground broadcasting a much stronger signal, drowning out the ones coming from the satellites, which made Kaliningrad an interesting candidate. It's a heavily militarized Russian exclave on the Baltic Sea, wedged between Poland and Lithuania, and in recent years it's become a hotspot for this kind of electronic warfare. So maybe that was it, a side effect of the conflict in the region, but they realized that explanation didn't work.
Even the highest tower in Kaliningrad only affects aviation as far as, say, Denmark. So we had ourselves a mystery on our hands. We were experienced with interference that you could call local. Something on a tower, something on a plane, that might cover hundreds of kilometers. But this was different. This was continental scale.
The researchers mapped out all the stations that were affected and asked a simple question. What kind of source could have affected all of them at once? A source on the ground just wouldn't work. The curvature of the Earth would block the signal over these distances. The only way to affect such a wide area simultaneously is from high above the Earth. And even using the most conservative assumptions, that the source only has to just clear the horizon from the perspective of every station, the geometry shows it had to be at least 1,200 kilometers up. That's way higher than the International Space Station. So what was causing this? Well, there is one known source of radio interference from space, which is the sun. In November 2025, a major solar storm disrupted GPS positioning globally for several hours. So could these interference events be caused by the sun? There were certainly question marks. Solar interference typically builds up and fades over tens to hundreds of seconds, but these events were abrupt, short bursts of only 3 to 5 seconds. Another important clue was the frequencies that were disrupted. Solar interference typically spans a wide range of radio frequencies, whereas this interference was confined to a very narrow slice, just 5 megahertz wide, centered at 1,577.5 megahertz. That's right in the part of the spectrum used by GPS. And the final nail in the coffin is that solar radio bursts affect the entire sunlit side of the Earth. But what the researchers were seeing here was much more concentrated, consistently centered over Europe. So Todd and Zach realized the only thing that could be causing this was a satellite, which left them with just one question.
Is it intentional or is it accidental? Both my student and I looked at this and said, unprecedented. We've never seen this before. The world has never seen this before.
This satellite seemed to be targeting GPS.
Or rather, what most of us call GPS. That is just a shorthand. GPS is the American system, but there are others, including the Russian one, the European one, and a Chinese one. And your phone is actually using a mix of these satellites to try and tell you where you are.
These systems are known as Global Navigation Satellite Systems, or GNSS.
And when the US military first developed the system in the 1970s, they wanted to prove how well it really worked.
So the GPS Program Office set itself an ambitious goal to use GPS to drop 5 bombs in a row into the same hole from a moving plane.
They set up a chair next to the site that the bombs were going to be going into.
Wait, what?
If anyone doubts that we can drop the bombs in the same hole, you're welcome to go and stand right there and watch it happen.
So, how does GPS work? Well, think about what your phone is actually trying to do to tell you where you are. It's listening to signals from satellites, and those signals can tell it 2 things. First, the position of the satellite in space, and second, the exact time the signal was sent. And then the receiver can compare that to when the signal arrives, and you can use that time difference, multiply it by the speed of light, and you get the distance. So if it took the signal 0.07 seconds, that must mean you're around 21,000 kilometers away from the satellite.
If you're only using a single satellite, that puts you somewhere on a huge sphere around it. Now, you can add a second one, and that will narrow your position down to this circle where the 2 spheres intersect. If you add a third, you will narrow it down to only 2 possible points, and only one of these is actually on Earth's surface. So you might think 3 satellites is all you need.
We have 3 equations, 1 for each satellite, and 3 unknowns that are my position, x, y, and z.
There are trucks, and then there's the 2026 GMC Sierra. It's the truck.
During